You're taken from your bed in the middle of the night and forced onto a stage at a comedy club. The loudness of the audience's laughter dictates if you are shot or not, and you're allowed one joke or anecdote to tell. What joke do you choose? You gotta hand it to blind prostitutes. A koala is sitting up in a gum tree smoking a joint when a little lizard walks past, looks up and says, "Hey koala. What are you doing?" The koala says, "Smoking a joint. Come up and have some." So the little lizard climbs up, sits next to the koala, and they smoke a huge joint. After a while the little lizard says his mouth is dry and he is going to get a drink from the river. But the little lizard is so stoned that he leans too far over and falls into the river. A crocodile sees this, swims over to the little lizard and helps him to the side, then asks the little lizard, "What's the matter with you?" The little lizard explains to the crocodile that he was sitting in the tree, smoking a joint with the koala, got too stoned, and then fell into the river while taking a drink. The crocodile says he has to see this. So he walks into the rainforest and finds the tree where the koala is sitting, with yet another joint. He looks up and says, "Hey man, will you let me hit that joint?" The koala looks down at him and says, "Fuck, dude. How much water did you drink?" First one to make me laugh, I asked a pretty, young homeless woman if I could take her home. She smiled at me and said yes. The look on her face soon changed, however, when I walked off with her cardboard box. Theoretically, this misunderstanding is only possible when telling it to a third person, as "can I take you home" means something completely different to "can I take your home." Can I take your home? NSFW, why does Dr. Pepper come in a bottle? Because his wife died. So I was on a work project in rural Indiana. Me, a brown guy, and my very gay co-worker. It's super hot and we've had a shitty day. We make it back to my car, tick it on the windshield, and get in, blast the AC. I'm going to pull out of the spot and I notice a guy walk in front of my car. I slam on the brakes so I don't hit him. And that's when he looks up. Scariest motherfucker I've seen in my entire life. 6 feet 3 inches skinhead and built like a brick shit house. Face like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Covered in tattoos. Crazy eyes. And he's staring right at us, one hand in a fist and the other menacingly concealing something under my line of sight. He stops. Me and my co-worker look at each other. My heart is racing. And then he swings up his other arm. I'm expecting a loaded sword off or a fucking axe. I flinch. And then I hear the thud. I open one of my eyes. And this guy is dragging the filthiest, most absurdly large dildo I have ever seen, attached to a rope, across the hood of my car. He drags it the whole length, winks at us, and then disappears into an alleyway. Then we notice his black friend, who was filming all of it and crying laughing. And that was my first day on the job. Edit, this is a true anecdote. I can't tell if this is a joke or a horror story, in my best Gilbert Godfrey voice. So a family walks into a talent agency. The dog starts pissing all over the daughter's asshole. I'm from a place called Cape Breton Island. Now not a lot of folks know it. But for those who do, they get some offensive assumptions in their head upon meeting me. They think I'm some kind of incestuous, fish-fucking wife beater, and I need to tell everyone here right now. I've never hit my sister once. As a fellow Nova Scotian, your joke landed well with me. Stay safe during the storm, my friend. What do you call a fat psychic? A fortune teller. Well, if I'm to die, I wanna leave you a mental image. The other night, I was watching a really weird porno. It was just a fat hairy guy, crying and masturbating. Then I realized I hadn't turned the TV on. Sorry, you're gonna have to live with everyone knowing that shame. So there's this new surgery going around. It's pretty cool. Some kids are born without eyelids. Lucky enough, the leftover foreskin is the same type of tissue as an eyelid. You can actually stitch this tissue there and make an eyelid. It's going great except for that fact that the kids are a bit cockeyed. Some others get foresight. Nice. A man walks up to a bus stop where there's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. She notices that he won't stop stealing glances in her direction, and it's starting to make her uncomfortable. Finally, he puffs out his chest, and gets up the nerve to ask her, Mom, can I smell your vagina? Taken aback, she responds, what? No. What's wrong with you? No, you can't smell my vagina. Calmly, he says, oh, okay. Must just be your feet then. Mickey Mouse is consulting a divorce lawyer. The lawyer looks Mickey in the eye and says, for the last time, you can't divorce Minnie just because she's incredibly silly. Mickey says, I didn't say she's incredibly silly, I said she's fucking goofy. I told my friends this joke last night. Joking lol. I only have one friend. So there's a man in an elevator, and as the doors are closing, he sees this young, fine-looking lady hurriedly make her way to the elevator too, so he stops the doors and lets her get on. Where are you headed? He asks, standing by the buttons. Oh, I'm going to the clinic on the 4th floor, the lady says. I'm going to go donate some eggs and make a quick $100. At this, the man starts to chuckle. What's so funny? Well, it's just that I'm going up to the sperm bank on the 5th floor, and they're going to pay me $150 to whack off into a cup. The elevator reaches its stops, and they get off, and do what they said they'd do. The next day, the same man is back in the elevator, and he sees the same woman coming to get on, just as the doors start to close. He stops the doors and lets her on. Where to this time? He asks. To which she responds, at this time I take a half sip of water, tilt my head back and say /sperm bank. Ha 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 ha, I love this one. Find a way to be casually drinking milk while you tell the joke. An Englishman is driving with a van full of monkeys delivering monkeys to a nearby zoo. His van breaks down along the way. An Irishman pulls up in a van and introduces himself as Paddy and asks if he can help. The Englishman says, thank you Paddy. I'll give you £50 if you take these monkeys to the zoo for me. Paddy gladly accepts, takes the money and loads the monkeys in his van and drives off. 2 hours go by and here comes Paddy with the van full of monkeys. The Englishman waves him down and says, what the hell Paddy? I gave you £50 to take the monkeys to the zoo. Paddy replies with a smile, oh I did. I had some money left over so now I am taking them to the cinema. And he drives off. Gunshots ring out. Told this one at a Christian college open mic night I had no business being at. One day, a bear is hunting a jackrabbit in the woods when they suddenly stumble upon a magic lamp. Upon rubbing the lamp, a genie pops out and grants them 3 wishes each. The bear goes first, I wish that all the bears in this forest, except me, were female so that I could mate with all of them. The jackrabbit says, cool. I wish for a crash helmet. The bear says, that's a stupid wish. But, for my second wish, I wish that all the bears in this country, except me, were female so that I could mate with all of them. The jackrabbit says, sweet. I wish for a Harley. The bear says, that's another stupid wish. But for my third wish, I wish that all the bears in the world, except me, were female so that I could mate with all of them. The genie finally turns to the jackrabbit and asks, what is your final wish? The jackrabbit dons on his crash helmet, revs up his Harley, turns to the bear, then to the genie, and says, I wish that bear was gay. Best joke on this thread by far. Do I know where the club is located? If it's in a college town, or better yet, a college campus, I imagine most people in the crowd would have at least a working knowledge of the Greek alphabet, so I go with greater than. There once was a girl from Purdue greater than who kept a young cat in a pew greater than. She taught it to speak greater than alphabetical Greek greater than, but it never got farther than mew. If I don't know the location, I go with my normal go-to joke, greater than. Plateaus are the highest form of flattery. There once was a man from Peru who dreamed he was eating his shoe. He awoke with a fright in the middle of the night to find that his dream had come true. Well shit, you're gonna die. An American, a Briton, and a Canadian all get stranded on an island with a cannibalistic tribe. The chief tells them, we are going to kill you and eat you and make our skin into our canoes, but we will let you choose how you die. The Canadian takes a gun and shoots himself. Sorry Canadians. The Briton takes poison and drinks it. Sorry Britain. The chief then asked how the American wanted to die, and he requested a fork. They gave the American a fork and he started stabbing himself through his skin all over with it furiously. Horrified, they asked him why, and the American looked up and said, "Fuck your canoes." Edit, spelling. That's hilarious. Did you come up with it? Glad you like it. No, I didn't come up with it, but I don't remember where I got it from. XD. An Indian tribe captures 3 men. They tell the men to go off into the forest and collect 10 of the same fruit, or else they would be killed. The men go off, and after a while the first man comes back with apples. The tribe tells the man to shove all 10 apples up his ass without making a sound, or else he would die. The man gets to apple number 2 before he screams and is killed. The second man returns with blueberries. They tell him to shove all 10 up his ass without making a sound. He does well. He gets to number 9 when he starts to laugh hysterically. He is then killed. Up in heaven, the first man asks the second, "Why'd you laugh? You were doing so well." The second man says, "I was, then I seen Paddy coming with fucking pineapples." Edit, holy fucking shit, this blew up. Thanks for the gold and silver smile. I've always loved this joke. Q, what's the difference between a pineapple and a slut? A, the pineapple isn't as messy when you eat it. A guy is in a doctor's office. His doctor is there with him. "I have 2 pieces of bad news," the doctor says. "What are they?" "Well, the first piece of news is that you have cancer." "What's the second piece of news?" he asks. "Well, the second piece of bad news is that you have Alzheimer's." The man laughs and says, "Well, at least I don't have cancer." Made me chuckle. Have a poor man's gold sports medal. I can tell if someone is lying just by looking at them. I can tell if they're standing too. I'd either die from everyone groaning or live if there's enough dads in the audience. The groans would be loud enough to let you live. A guy went to the eye doctor and said, "I have trouble seeing things at a distance." The doc took him over to the window, pointed up at the sky, and said, "Look up there. What do you see?" The guy looks and says, "The sun." The doc says, "Right. So how fucking far do you need to be able to see, dude?" Brilliant. I once saw a man squatting behind a grave. "Morning," I said. "No, just having a shit," he said. Had to read it 6 times before I got it. Lol. I don't get it. Crazy exes are like boxes of chocolate, they'll fucking kill your dog. This joke goes out to any guy who wants to impress a lady with a Mercedes-Benz. 2 good friends, an elephant and a mouse, were walking through the jungles of Africa. Both minding their own business going down the path. The elephant trips and falls into a huge hole and starts screaming, "Save me, save me." The mouse says, "WTF do you expect me? Wait, wait. I got an idea." The mouse runs home, goes into his garage and gets out his Mercedes-Benz. He then drives to the hardware store, buys some rope and puts the rope in the back of Mercedes-Benz. The mouse drives back to the hole, shouts down to the elephant, "Listen, I'm gonna tie this end of the rope to the back of my Mercedes-Benz, and you tie the other end to your snout. So that way when we pull out, you'll be saved." The plan worked. A couple of days later, the elephant and the mouse were walking through the jungles of Africa again. Still minding their own business going down the path. This time, the mouse strips and falls into the same hole and screams, "Save me, save me." The elephant whips out his dick, drops it in the hole and tells the mouse, "Run up my dick, and you'll be saved." And of course the plan worked. And do you know what the moral of this story is? If you got a big tick, you don't need a Mercedes-Benz. I've heard this before, but it was a little different. The second animal that needed rescuing was a little chicken, and it was a horse that rescued him. The moral is that when you're hung like a horse, you don't need a fancy car to pick up chicks. So this guy decides to throw a costume party, and everyone must dress up as an emotion. The doorbell rings for the first time and his friend is standing there dressed all in green. What are you? I'm green with envy. That's kinda lame, but you can come in. The doorbell rings a second time and it's his other friend standing there all dressed in red. What are you? Red with anger. Okay, that's the last one. You guys have to be more creative than that. No more colors. The doorbell then rings for a third time and it's these two Jamaican dudes he's never met. One is dressed in a big pear costume and the other is butt naked with his hand around his dick, and his hand is filled with custard. What the fuck are you guys? Kiomon, I am in despair, and my friend is fucking disgusted. I normally go with one guy with his dick in a bear, and other in a custard tart. I am fucking disgusted, and my friend has come in despair. Two cowboys were wandering the desert, thirsty and starving. They see a tree in the distance, draped in bacon. The one says a bacon tree, and goes running towards it. Suddenly there is a gunshot and he falls to the ground. With his last dying breath he says that's not a bacon tree, it's a ham bush. What do gay horses eat? In the most flamboyant voice ever, ha-ye. What do gay cows drink? Again, most flamboyantly, yum. Doctor, you have a very rare disease. Me, how rare? Doctor, rare enough that you get to name it. Doc, sorry, but I got bad news. You don't have much time left to live. You will die in 8. Patient, 8 what? Years? Months? Doc, 7, 6, 5. Two friends were hunting in the woods when one of them collapses. He doesn't appear to be breathing, his eyes are glazed over. The other man pulls out his phone with trembling fingers and calls 911. He gasps, my friend is dead. What can I do? The operator says please stay calm. I will help you. First of all, let's make sure he's dead. There's a silence, then a gunshot. The guy gets back on the phone and says okay, now what? A timeless classic. Got me good. I didn't know that one up is an aspiring stand-up comic looking for open mic night material.